Hello, Wealthy Wives and friends. This is Cindy Sophia, author of Wealthy Wife, Meeting, Dating, and Marrying Rich Men, as well as the founder of the Wealthy Wife Academy. How are you doing today, Wealthy Wives and friends? Today we're going to talk about flirting, how to be that sexy, sensuous woman. Because it surprises me how many women have no idea how to flirt. I'll get to that in a moment. But before we get started, let's go ahead and do our mantra. Now, once again, if you have been, ongoing part of the Wealthy Wife family, you know what the mantra is. If you're actually a new member to the Wealthy Wife family, I want to say welcome and, glad you've joined us. Here's what we do. I need you to be sitting someplace comfortably. With your feet flat in the ground, back straight. Once again, not rigid, just straight. You are breathing normally. Just allowing your breath very easy. Your eyes are closed. Shoulders relaxed. Face relaxed. Jaw relaxed. Now I want you to take a deep breath with me. Breathing in. Let it go. Now say it with me. I am a wealthy wife. I am a wealthy wife. And I am a wealthy wife. Once again, shoulders relaxed, breathing easy. Take one more deep breath, breathing in. Let it go. Now, once again, you're just allowing that statement to kind of sink into your energy field. And if you are serious about this as a goal for you, this statement is now part of your personal truth. Yes, every word you speak is a declaration in your life. I've said this in earlier audios and videos. When we speak, words are spells. You are spell casting, spelling. In the word spelling is I spell. You're casting spells with your words. So it's entirely up to you as to what spells you're casting around your life. Remember, everything's energy. Every single thing about what we do is energy. Everything you see, you touch, you feel, whatever, is energy. Once again, this has been scientifically proven. If they put things under those super powerful microscopes that they have, they notice that everything's energy. And apparently there are like big gaps in between like the molecules. So it's all energy. Everything that you see and touch is an illusion. It's not real. I know, crazy, right? Feels real. Sounds real. Smells real. But technically, it's all an illusion. So having said this, why not, since you are creating and casting spells and working your own personal magic, why not make the magic work for you? So when you make this statement, I am a wealthy wife, that means you are looking to become a woman who actually is a wealthy woman, who is going to be able to enjoy the partnership, companionship, the life with a man who is affluent, rich, wealthy. But in doing that, you can understand that it also means you're going to have to step up to the plate and make yourself ready to be that woman. Just saying it doesn't make it so, just so you know. That is what starts the process. But you must understand how to work the process. Because I've mentioned this before also in prior audios, and I'm sure I'll mention it again. Most of you are trying to find and acquire the attention or the companionship of affluent men, but you want to treat them like you're dealing with the average Joe. Because you're either too scared and too worried yourself to uplevel your thinking, your mindset, your process, your whatever, to make you better and more able to understand and be present with these men. Because guess what? Learning it and having the information automatically benefits you. Think about it. If you're learning these things, the skill set's your skill set. So you have to be becoming better. But so many, like I said, women are trying to date these men if they have a chance to meet them like they would date just any ordinary man. These men are not ordinary men. They may look like ordinary men. They may have, like I said, their essence may feel comfortable and familiar to a point. Let's say, for example, maybe you met a guy in your area. You guys are from the same neighborhood. Maybe you went to school together possibly. And he was, up and coming when you met him. Let's say you're older and you've met a guy, run into a guy that you knew, high school, college, whatever. And now he's successful. So you're thinking, because you guys may have experienced the same stuff, he's going to have some commonalities that are going to feel familiar. But understand, his thinking is completely different. You're not going to find these guys hanging out at the local sports bar. You're not going to find them putting together fantasy football teams. For the most part, they're not. They're busy doing other things. You're not going to see them doing lots of things that typical guys do. Most of them really aren't sitting around talking about sports, not in the way that average men talk about sports. They may be interested in sports. They'll go to games and everything. They may have favorite teams that they absolutely love and adore. But they're going to be, if they're running numbers on players, they're running numbers because they're either thinking about investing in a professional team or somehow, some way it's going to tie back to business and profit and expansion and growth. These are men that have conversations about things, like I said, the most of you are not going to have any conversation around. And when I say this, remember, there's no shade being thrown. I need you to understand that these are not typical men. So you need to be prepared to deal with them, handle them, spend time with them on a new level yourself. I'm sitting down talking to a gentleman that I know. We talk business. Right now I'm actually looking to acquire some businesses. I told you guys, I used to be involved in real estate investing, and I just burned out. I was doing single family homes. I know. It's like, I don't know what possessed me to do it, but whatever. I was buying and investing in single family homes. Burnt me out. Not, did not do it, didn't turn out quite the way I was expecting. But whatever, it was a great learning lesson. So now looking to get back into it, I'm looking at commercial properties, I'm looking at multifamily properties, I'm looking into businesses for sale. So like I said, so it's just a whole different headspace that I'm in as well. Which means I have to relearn stuff because I have not done any investing in businesses, actually ever. But there are some similarities that go along with it that I would have done in reference to real estate investing that I would be doing in reference to businesses. So knowing that I need to acquire some new skills, I need to have a better understanding. I have mentors. I have gentlemen that I'm talking to that are incredibly successful. And as I'm doing my stuff, asking questions, I'm learning how to actually speak basically a different language, so to speak, because now I need to understand what I'm looking for in reference to when I'm doing assessments on businesses. What am I looking for? When I'm sitting down talking to an owner, what questions should I be asking? See, always growing. But this makes it entertaining for me because now, like I said, I have to expand myself. So when you are coming into the game of affluent dating, or when you made a declaration that you want to become a wealthy wife, these are things you're going to need to be discussing and to understand as well. Because your husband, your boyfriends, your benefactors, your mentors, they're already doing this stuff. And if you're going into a partnership as a romantic relationship or possibly business, whatever, with somebody, it would be such a relief to a man to have a woman who has some basic understanding on this. Even if you decide you don't want to get involved in it full time, even if you just have a passing understanding. So when he's talking to you, your eyes are not totally glazing over, that you at least have some interest in what he's discussing. They don't need you to know everything and be happy and excited about every single thing they do. They understand that their passion is just that, it's their passion. And they've done well with their passion or passions. But what about you? Because part of flirtation is the ability to actually bring in some of what makes you so special and excites you into that playfulness. And relaxing him so that when you guys are talking, you can be playing, but you also can throw in some things that are a little more grounded. When a woman is actually an intelligent woman, not just talking book smart, Not talking about your degree. I told you guys, your degrees are great and wonderful, fine and dandy, whatever. But if that's all you're going on and you're going to think that's going to be enough to acquire a truly affluent man, please understand that he hires women with degrees. If he's running his own businesses or running a business or businesses, he's already hiring talented women with degrees. So that's not going to be enough to carry you over the finish line and make you stand out amongst the tons of women that are coming for him. Like you said, I was laughing because somebody made the statement to me. I don't know if it was one of the comments I saw in the YouTube videos or somebody emailed me in reference to it. But she was saying she's noticing all these people are now popping up teaching women how to supposedly date rich men. Some of the women are actually qualified. Some of them are not. Some of them aren't. Absolutely are not qualified to teach you how to date a wealthy man. They're capable of teaching you how to date a man who may be making some money, but they have no idea what it means to really talk about dating and spending time with a truly affluent, rich, and wealthy man. There are different conversations, and I've said this before, there are different levels to this process. You know, how many people sit down and literally spend time talking to multi-millionaires and billionaires? I'm being very serious when I ask that question. Who amongst you that you know that's teaching has? I know some of the women out there have. I know that. Places they talk about going, things they're experiencing, I'm sure they have. But I also know some of them have those conversations out there have not. Like I said, they can teach you how to go to a certain level, which is fine if that's the level that you want to go to. But if you're really looking to expand your world and to really live a lifestyle that's larger than life, Michelle Obama, Marjorie Harvey, I'm trying to think who else, Savannah James, I'm trying to think, Kim Kardashian, just trying to think of some of the ones I talk about so often, Meghan Markle. Oh gosh, I can probably go through a list of more, but let's just go with those for time being. Sierra. Just different women. And then we can break the categories down even differently, because I don't spend a lot of time watching a housewife series. I told you guys, I'm just not into that stuff. I'm really not. But some of those women on there have been with some very successful men, and some of them, like I said, they're doing very well for themselves, but even they wouldn't understand how to date a really wealthy man just because of their mindset and their process. So like I said, there are different levels to this. How would you handle yourself if you were to sit down across the table from a gentleman who's worth multiple billions of dollars? What conversations would you want to have with him? How would you get his attention? How would you keep his attention? You'd probably get his attention because they love beautiful women like any other men, like all men do. Beauty is beauty. And so you may have the exterior all put together and you look good, you smell good, and you gain his initial attention. How are you going to hold on to his attention? What are you going to talk about? Would you feel comfortable talking to him? Because that's another one that gets women sometimes, is they really don't feel comfortable in that space because they are worried about their communication skills. How am I going to talk to them? What am I going to say? How do I not sound like everybody else? Or how do I not sound boring? Or I've had someone ask me, I didn't want to sound stupid. I go, no, you don't. No, that's not a problem. I told you guys before, anytime I'm involved in a situation or a conversation, which I am totally unfamiliar with the topic, and the conversation comes back to me, so what do you think? And if I have no idea what they're talking about, I have no problem saying, you know what? Sounds interesting, but I have not a clue what you're talking about. I mean, seriously, it's the first time I'm hearing about this. But you know something? Tell me more. That is my fallback position. It's usually the words I'll say, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more. Because like I said, I don't know everything. I know a lot. I know a ton of stuff. I really do. Because I'm constantly reading and finding ways to improve my thinking, and the conversations that I have and the people that I spend time with are always finding ways to pour more information into me. Now, I love that old saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So I look to surround myself with people that have information and knowledge that I don't know anything about, or I may be mildly familiar with. I am looking to grow and expand, and I'll be that way literally till the day I pass out of here. I transition out of here. I'm always learning, always reading, always studying. Like I said, at this point in my life now, I have 3 different mentors that I'm working with in some capacity. One of them I'm doing some online stuff with, and the other ones I'm doing, I'm just more hands-on stuff that I'm working with. Always growing. And that's what keeps it interesting. So when I do have the chance to sit down and talk with these various guys that I meet, if they are talking about business and I'm around, and then they hit on something that sounds interesting to me, it's like, wait a minute, what did you just say? Wow, I never heard of that. Tell me, once again, tell me more. Because right now, currently I'm working on ABC. So that's what you just mentioned. Sounds like something I might actually be able to, add to what I'm already doing. Please tell me more. And the conversations begin. And here's where you can add some flirting into this process. And because that becomes your body language. Because when I'm talking to somebody, I will lean in to hear what they're talking about. And I told you guys, I am a toucher. I am absolutely a toucher. Not everybody's comfortable doing that. I get that. But it's just the nature of my personality. So I may, like I said, reach out and touch somebody's hand or somebody's arm when they make a point that excites me or I think is interesting, or if I need them to stop talking just for a minute, just to break their conversation so I can actually ask a question. I might touch somebody's hand and say, you know what, wait a minute. I apologize for interrupting you, because I truly hate and despise, I'm going to say this, I don't use the word hate very often, but I can truly say I despise when people interrupt. It's like, oh my goodness, and not apologize for the interruption. So I would tell somebody, if I need to interrupt somebody, I guess I'll touch his hand and say, wait 1 minute. I guess, I apologize for interrupting you. I go, but you just mentioned something that I need you to repeat for me, please. Because that, whatever you just said, just really, really, really captured my attention. So please, please repeat what you just said. Because I want to make sure I heard you correctly. And then I'll take my hand away. And they may have to roll back in their brain for a split second and think what they just said. And sometimes I might have to say, like, you just said ABC. Like, oh, okay. What I was saying was this. And then I can sit back and keep watching and paying attention. Because ladies, one of the most sexy things you can do is give a man your undivided attention. To be paying attention to what he's talking about. Like, even if you think the topic is the most dry and boring thing on the planet. Because there are topics I truly, truly know that I'm like going, I'd rather watch paint peel off a wall. Because there are just some things I'm not interested in. But I'm getting better, because tech is one of the things. I'm really not that excited about technology. But I understand right now in the world of investing, technology is hot. I mean, it's hot. So that means I need to pay a little more attention to it. Once again, I'm not getting deeply wrapped up into it. I just bought a brand new mini iPad. I still don't know more than probably 95% of what the darn thing does. Apparently it does some really cool stuff. I'm about to take the doggone thing into Apple and have them explain it to me, because I don't know what all she can do. So I'm about to go take myself an Apple, sit myself down with other people, and have them walk me through my mini iPad, the latest one. The matter of fact, I got the brand new one, just came out a few weeks ago. So believe me, tech is not my strong point. Not at all. But I understand that if I'm going to be talking to gentlemen, and like I said, since I am looking into investing and learning about investing and, what kind of stocks to look for, what to look for in reference to, finding things to invest money in, I need to at least have my finger on the pulse. So for that to happen, that means when I am sitting down talking with my gentlemen or meeting new gentlemen, I can ask the question, I've just begun to look into technology stocks, technology conferences. Do you happen to have any particular advice or ideas? And then if they do, they're like, you're really interested. I'm like, yes, I am, because I don't know a darn thing about it. So if you could assist me, I would so appreciate it. And then I sit back and I listen. And if I'm at my Starbucks, I always have pen and paper on me, even when I'm anywhere. So usually in my purse, I always have a notepad and pens in my purse. And usually I like the fine tip markers, the fine point markers. Yeah, I love the fine point Sharpies. I love different colors. I told you guys, there are certain parts of me that are 100% a little girl. And I love color. So I write in color markers. What can I say? Well, Sharpies. But anyway, so if it's something he's really talking about, I'll take notes. If I'm at my Starbucks, now not if I'm out to dinner, and if I'm out to dinner on a date or something, obviously I'm not taking notes. But I will generally, if I get a chance to, if it's something he really writes, says that hits my brain, I might say, you know what, I once again don't mean to be rude. I go, but when tomorrow I'm going to want to take a look at what you just suggested. So if you don't mind, let me just write down a couple notes. Once again, don't want to break the rhythm of the date, but if he says something that really sparks my interest, I'm going to write it down because I have, that crazy brain that will forget something after I blink my eyes. It's like, yeah, I know you can understand. I know you can understand. So I might write it down just so I have like just a basic note to remember what I'm going to look for the next day. But like I said, but give me your undivided attention and listening and asking questions and smiling. And then you having interesting things to say. That's another part of being a flirtatious woman. People, it's not just about playing with your hair and the tilt of your head and, looking him in the eyes and giggling when he says something funny. All that is sweet and it's wonderful and it makes a man feel awesome. It does, because he knows he's having an impact on you. So it's exciting for him because now he wants to find ways to continue to make you laugh and smile. But if you want to find a way to get that flirtation, that process to last longer, then you also need to add you to the equation outside of just your physical. So let's say, for example, you guys are talking about something and he comes back to you and says, so what do you, God, I've been doing all the talking, because I tell you guys, with my ladies, with my students and private clients, I teach them communication skills. They learn how to ask questions that actually encourage conversations and not just the standard boring stuff. They encourage real conversations, real get to know you conversations that go beyond college. What school did you go to? Why did you pick that school? What did you do for a living? No. And by the way, ladies, when someone's asking you on a date what you do for a living, don't tell them. Unless it's a business related something. You know what? Sir, unless you have your own business, maybe that might be, you know what I'm saying? But truthfully, when you're on the first date, try to find something more interesting to talk about than just the standard boring stuff. What do you do for a living? So I get to ask that question, obviously. I tell people, I'm a writer. Or I design jewelry. Periodically, I'll tell people that I despise using the word life coach because I'm not a life coach. Not in the standard, that's just the word is so overused. Private tutoring. But my standard usually is I'm an author, I'm a writer, or I'm a jewelry designer. Because I want to offer something different. And sometimes I don't want people to know what I do. It's not their business what I do. Because when someone's trying to do that assessment in their head to find out, what I'm monetarily worth or what's going on with me, am I wealthy, am I affluent, am I this, am I that, based upon my occupation. Now, all you have to do is talk with me, spend time with me, and you'll pretty much understand what stratosphere I'm moving in reference to my lifestyle and, the kind of people I'm spending time with. My conversation will let you know. Things I'm discussing, questions I'm asking will let somebody know if they are tuned to that next level living. Now, if they're not, they're going to probably miss it, and that's perfectly fine. But in order to keep things fun and interesting, like I said, I don't offer up the standard boring stuff. Now, I'm not saying we don't discuss different things like this standard typical conversation. I talk with my children once in a blue moon. My kids are grown. But when my kids were young, I'll tell you guys up front, I didn't mention the kids initially. If someone asks about children, I may say, yes, I do. And I'm like, but you know what? Until I get to know somebody better, they never have a chance to meet my children. Or sometimes if I was going on a date and I really just understood that I was not going to see this person again, I didn't bother to answer the question because we talk about other things. I guide conversations, just so you know. But once again, I'm very fluent in the art of communication. So I can avoid some of the questions you guys get trapped in. But like I said, I work with my women and teach them how to also be able to do this. So when you understand that, when you're talking to somebody, you want to find a way to keep the conversation flowing. Find something interesting to talk about. What are your hobbies? What are your interests? Do you have a side business? Is there something you're doing on the side in addition to your job? Do you have something that you would love to start? Is there some type of project? Is there some type of something that you want to do? That you've been thinking about, maybe you've been doing some investigating on, maybe you've been taking a few little classes on the side for it. See, those are the kind of things I would offer up in a conversation. because that conversation makes you sparkle. Because think about it. If you start talking about your job, and if you totally despise your job, that's going to come out in the conversation. And that's just going to bring all this negative energy into your date, or into that or into that just that random chance to meet somebody. You're bringing that energy into the conversation. Why? This is your opportunity to start fresh with somebody that you get to set the tone of that budding relationship. Be that a friendship, be that once again a patron, benefactor, mentor, be that a potential boyfriend. Who knows? It may blossom into love and romance. But wouldn't it be nice if he's going to walk away from you and he feels good? Like he really wants to see you again because you made him smile, because one, you were listening to what he was talking about and you expressed interest, even if you weren't really interested. I mean, as in needing to know every dirty detail about it, but at least you asked questions to show him that you were paying attention. And you allowed him an opportunity to get to know you a little deeper without having to expose yourself to a total stranger. Because when you're talking about your hobby, or if you, like I said, if you do have a side business, say for example, I don't know. Gosh, what could you guys, I like to use writer. Because there's so many people, so many wannabe budding potential writers out there. And I'm telling you guys, Kindle, it was create space, but Amazon's thing, Kindle direct publishing, seriously, I'm telling you, I love them. Even though I haven't got the next book out yet, but it just makes writing, putting together a finished product so easy. So let's say, for example, you want to write. And maybe you have nothing published yet. Maybe you haven't even started your first book yet. But you could be telling this gentleman about the fact, once you've learned some fun things about him, and you allowed him to sit in that glow of having an attentive woman, a beautiful attentive woman, give her his time and attention. Now he's relaxed and he's feeling really good. He's listening to you talk about something that excites you. So let's say you want to be a writer and you're like, and maybe you've never written a book. Let's just say you haven't even written your first book yet. And you're talking to him because now once again, he's relaxed. He's like, oh my gosh, look, and he's thinking, man, she's beautiful. I mean, look at her face, her eyes, they twinkle, her skin, it glows, her lips, she's beautiful. And you're looking at him going, you fine too, in your brain, right? And now he's giving you his undivided attention. And you can look at him. Now, once again, I told you guys, there's a power to touch when it's used very sparingly on a date. And maybe reach out and touch his hands. Like, you know what? He's like, so what do you do? Or what interests you? And you touch his hands. Like, you know what? I would love to tell you. I'm going to tell you a secret. Shh. Don't tell anybody. But I have this secret desire to be a writer. Yeah, no, I know. Really. Shh, don't tell anybody. Since I was a kid, I've always loved to write. I love to read. I'm an avid reader, and I've got this idea for my first book. But I'll be honest, I'm terrified to write it because I don't want to sound stupid. I don't want to, I'm thinking, what gives me the right to write this book? Now he's going to be like, really? No. He's going to probably be encouraged. It's like, you know what? But if you want to read, and this is him talking to you, but it's exciting. And if you want to write that book, I would definitely say, go for it. And you're looking at him thinking, really? You think I really should? Well, he's going to ask you, so tell me about your book. Your book idea. Okay. Once again, I told you, I'm a little nervous about this. I've never shared this with anybody. But here's my book idea. Now, whatever your topic may be, is it going to be a nonfiction book? Maybe you're going to write on a topic that you love. Maybe you're into working out. Maybe you're into juicing. Maybe you're into flowers. Maybe you're into jewelry design. Maybe you're into designing clothes. Maybe you're into something. I don't know what your topic would be. Mine tends to lean more towards spirituality, communication, obviously, romance, and more. There's actually more to it. But say for example, you're into spirituality and you love meditation. So maybe you're a writer and you write poems. And the poem, I'm using this example for my very first book, because my very first book, Creating Sacred Space, The Art of Peaceful Living, the Art of Living a Peaceful Life, that is basically a culmination of prayers and poems that I wrote over the course of several years that are broke down into different chapters in reference to peace of mind, health, eliminating emotional bonds and ties. I mean, so maybe that's you too. Maybe you've written some poems and you're thinking, I've written this book. I've been writing poems all my life. And I was thinking about putting a book together that's about, piece about meditation, and using my poems and my prayers as examples to use for meditation. And I was thinking that I could also offer them just how to put together some basic ceremonies. Like, for example, how to use candles and, color candles they should be using, lighting incense, how to set up that sacred space and create altars. These are things I've been thinking about, but I'm just so nervous to put into writing because I'm thinking, gosh, there are so many books out there on the topic already. Who's going to read mine? And this is you talking to him, and he's listening. And so you might ask you, so what kind of poem? And maybe you know one by heart. I know none of mine by heart right now because I haven't been using them lately. But let's say, for example, maybe there's a poem that you do remember by heart, so you can actually quote the poem. And he's going to sit back and think, wow, in his brain, like, wow, she's talented. That's actually beautiful. So he'll say to you, gosh, that's beautiful. And you look at him, kind of smile, tilt the head a little bit, be like, really? You think so? He's like, yeah, I really do. And then you guys start talking. So now it's like, you know what? Thank you. And you're telling him this. That is very encouraging. I appreciate that. I really do. And then you guys are just going to build out on that conversation. So you might tell him a little bit more about this future book that you're going to write. And he's going to encourage you. And if you like him, and he likes you, and he's already thinking about the fact that he's got to schedule a second date with you, what you can do to encourage that second date is say this: you know what? I am enjoying myself. You are such a wonderful man. I have loved learning about whatever interests he told you that got him excited. I love learning about, your I don't know. What can it be? What it could be? Maybe he flies planes. I don't, guys, and I'm making up stories right here. I'm loved hearing about, you getting your license, your license to become a pilot. And your stories were fantastic. You sharing that first experience when your flight instructor made you fly the plane by yourself sounded exciting and terrifying at the same time. Thank you for sharing that with me. And you're going to look at him once again, take him by the hand and say, but even more wonderful is that you allowed me to share my secret desire to be a writer with you. Gosh, can I ask you a favor? And he's like, yeah, what? I need to do some research on where to actually publish some books, or to find some place to actually, do some self-publishing. You seem to be really good at research. Because once again, ladies, if he's an affluent man, he is really good at research, because they're always looking for stuff that they need to use for themselves or to have as tools for their teams and their employees. So he's going to be a master researcher, just so you know. So you say, could you do me a favor? Because, I really like talking to you. And yes, this is my excuse to have a chance to talk to you again, and smile at him. Could you help me do some research and find some companies to self-publish a book? I'm not ready to write the book yet, but talking to you is giving me a little more courage. So I'm thinking I should probably at least start doing some investigating. Will you help? And then he's going to say yes, because like I said, he wants to see you again. Now you have given him a purpose, and you've given him something to bring back to you. And you're going to make a couple phone calls in between the next date. Don't get on the phone and talk for hours to somebody. You guys, like I said, you got to learn how to unfold like a flower, a slow motion flower. Too many times you guys get happy, you get comfortable, and you talk too much. You're on the phone with somebody for hours. Why in the beginning stages do you guys do that? Try to make him a girlfriend. You try to make him a friend too soon. You want to allow yourself to unfold slowly. Allow him to have a chance to get to know you, think about you, miss you when you're away from him. And if you give him a little task to assist you, it's going to definitely keep you on his mind. You're not going to have to try so hard to stay front of mind with him. See, that's the problem. You guys try too hard. Some of you do. Some of you really, really do. Because I know this. No one teaches you how to date. No one teaches you how to actually be present with men. That's why I'm here. So that's just an example of flirtation at the next level. Because see what I just shared with you guys, that's advanced level flirtation. Yeah, and there's more. But I'm going to stop for the day. Hear what I've shared with you. Listen to this one again. Also remember, dominatrix secrets, because some of the ones I'm discussing with you guys, you'll also be learning in the Dominatrix Secrets Masterclass, the Ultimate Seductress. See, I'm trying to give you guys some additional tools so you actually understand how to express yourself in different ways so that when you're meeting these men, you are an enigma to them. And that you're learning how to express parts of your personality that you either didn't know were there or have been hiding out and you want to start exploring. Dominatrix Secrets is going to show you how to stand in that space of a dominant woman. Now, when I say dominant, once again, not bitchy, not mean, not aggressive, not anything of that sort, but a very confident woman who understands how to really be at peace with her sensuality, with her wisdom, with her brilliance and her intelligence, communication skills, and how to package your persona to be present for the woman that you are growing into. I said, guys, I am one of your best safety nets that you could have to really find out who you are in the world of affluent dating, or fluent dating, affluent dating, whatever. You guys know I use both versions. In reference to discovering who you want to be as a woman, period. It's not just about, once again, being what we need to be for men. Like I said, you guys know I love men, so I love experiencing them and them having the chance to experience me. But what we're learning here is not just about how to get that man. It is about you, like I said, coming into your own as this dynamic, phenomenal, fabulous woman. Free of all the guilt, the shame, the nonsense that people try to talk you into and have talked you into over the years. This is about self-expression and being open enough and fearless enough to go deeper and find out about your options. So, as you know, the class starts on next Saturday, May 18th. The early bird registration ends tomorrow. Now, you still be able to register for the class, but it's going to be at a higher tuition rate. So if you're thinking about it, seriously thinking about it, now's the time to get enrolled, because as I mentioned before, I keep the class size at a maximum of 12 people because I want to make sure I can work with everybody individually. And more than 12 does become a bit much for me because I've got homework to read. Sometimes we're doing phone calls. Not often, but every now and then I might do like a touch base phone call during the class because, once again, that's extra, which I don't mind doing sometimes. But I like to keep it to the point. And I also want to make sure that you guys can be heard if they have questions or comments. And the class gets to know each other as well. So think about it. Listen to this again. I gave you guys some advanced level flirtation advice in there. Listen to it. And if you're going to join me for Dominatrix Secrets, the Masterclass, the Ultimate Seductress, make sure you click on the button below and get yourselves enrolled. I love you and I adore you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.